The phone pierced the quiet at 2:17 a.m., the screen flashing the hospital's name like a warning. My heart lurched into my throat as I answered. "Mrs. Victoria Hayes? This is Riverside Medical Center. Your daughter Emily has been in a severe car accident. She's in the ICU, critical condition. Please come immediately." The room spun. I barely registered hanging up. I just snatched my keys, pulled on whatever was closest, and sped through the wet streets, rain hammering the roof. My mind locked on one desperate plea: let her make it. I arrived to a scene straight out of a nightmare. Emily lay under harsh lights in the ICU, pale and still, machines crowding around her like sentinels. Her face was bruised and swollen, one side bandaged, tubes running from her arms and chest. A doctor met me outside the glass doors, tone measured but grave. High-speed impact from a drunk driver, fractured ribs, punctured lung, significant head trauma. She's holding on, but it's precarious. We may need to operate soon. I nodded mechanically, then stepped inside and wrapped my fingers around hers. They felt fragile, icy. "I'm here, honey," I murmured. "Mom's got you." If you've ever felt that gut-wrenching helplessness watching a loved one fight for survival, only to learn the one person who vowed to stand by her was off chasing his own thrills, smash subscribe right now. Like this video if stories of betrayal meeting hard justice give you that rush of vindication. Let's dive into how one man's selfish getaway set the stage for everything to unravel on him. I'm Victoria Hayes, 58, widowed since a car accident took my husband 15 years back. Emily was my only daughter, my anchor, my light, warm-hearted, driven, the type who volunteered at shelters and always checked in on me first. She married Ryan Caldwell 4 years ago. He presented well, tall, confident, a rising star in commercial real estate, always promising the world, nice home, security, trips. At the start, I was thankful she'd landed someone who appeared solid. But over the years, the mask slipped. Frequent late meetings, abrupt mood swings, the way he'd dismiss her ideas in front of others. I held my tongue. She believed in him, and I didn't want to be the mom who ruined that. I stayed supportive, watchful, silent. But now, with Emily battling for every breath, I needed him desperately. I dialed his number repeatedly from the uncomfortable chair by her bed. Voicemail after voicemail. Texts flew out. "Ryan, Emily's been in a horrible crash. ICU at Riverside. Get here now." Silence. I called his office line despite the hour. His receptionist answered, hesitant. "He's traveling for a deal closing. I'll relay the urgency." Traveling? My chest tightened. Emily shifted faintly, a small sound escaping her lips, and I leaned closer, smoothing her hair. The sharp tang of hospital cleaners clung to everything. The rhythmic beeps felt like accusations. Dawn broke dull and heavy. Doctors reported her vitals steady, but warned of impending surgery for the bleeding. "Her husband should be here for decisions," a nurse said softly. I managed a tight nod. "He's coming." Lie. Calls kept going unanswered. Family filtered in, my brother, a cousin, a longtime friend, but no Ryan. The waiting area shrank with each hour. Needing something, anything to steady myself, I opened my phone to social media and froze.
A post from one of Ryan's colleagues. Gleaming yacht deck, sun high, champagne flowing, laughter frozen in pixels. Ryan centered in the shot, shirt half unbuttoned, arm draped around a striking younger woman. She beamed, head on his shoulder, hand on his waist. Caption: "Epic getaway vibes. #yacht days. #no regrets." Timestamp: 4:19 p.m. yesterday, mere hours after Emily's crash. My lungs seized. I enlarged the image until details blurred. His relaxed grin, her playful expression, the utter absence of worry. While my daughter lay broken and bleeding, her husband was raising glasses and flirting under clear skies. I captured screenshots, hands unsteady but deliberate, forwarded them to my secure email, created a folder, records. Then I returned to Emily's bedside, eyes fixed on her fragile rise and fall beneath the blanket. The fury didn't erupt, it coiled, deep and steady, feeding on every second of his absence.
Ryan appeared on day 3. He entered looking worn, clutching a sad grocery store bouquet. Roads were backed up, phone went dead, he muttered, gaze sliding past mine. He lingered near the door, hands jammed in pockets, barely nearing the bed. I observed him sharply. His phone vibrated twice. He muted it fast. "Any updates?" he asked, inching forward. "She's hanging on," I replied levelly. "Always does." Inside, the rage tightened like wire. I restrained myself. Emily was too vulnerable for explosions, but details sharpened. Unfamiliar aftershave, faint sunburn on his neck, the quick hallway exits for calls, voice hushed and warm. One evening, I caught his murmur outside. "I'll wrap this up soon. Just a bump. Hang tight, sweetheart." Sweetheart. The word struck like glass. I retreated inside unseen, pulse thundering. Alone, later, in the low light, I researched her. Brooke Ellis, new agent at his agency. Their online footprints connected the dots, shared likes, story tags, casual comments that read different in context. While Emily fought unconsciousness and machines, they carried on untouched. Nights blurred into exhaustion. I snatched sleep in snatches, startling at every alert. Ryan's visits were scripted, brief touch, polite nods to staff, but the facade cracked under scrutiny. Emily, stirring enough to speak, offered a faint smile. "He's busy with work, Mom. He'll be here more soon." I nodded, throat burning with unspoken truth. Each hollow gesture stoked the flames. I collected quietly. Account alerts, old joint access never revoked, email timestamps, reposted yacht photos from others. The mosaic formed, piece by damning piece. In the bathroom one night, I let silent tears fall, knuckles white against the sink. Not just for Emily's agony, for the added wound of betrayal. How could he pick indulgence over her survival? The wrongness rooted deep. Yet, under the sorrow, a sharper clarity emerged. Determination. This wouldn't pass unmarked. The days in the hospital blurred into one long, exhausting vigil. Emily's condition improved inch by inch, enough for the doctors to schedule the surgery for the lung repair and internal bleeding. They moved her to pre-op early one morning, wheeling her bed down the corridor while I walked beside it, holding her hand the entire way. She looked up at me through heavy eyelids, voice barely a whisper. "Mom, tell Ryan I love him." My heart cracked open at those words. I squeezed her fingers gently. "He knows, sweetheart. Focus on getting through this." As the doors closed behind her, I stood in the hallway alone, the fluorescent buzz overhead feeling like it was pressing down on my skull. Ryan wasn't there for the send-off. He'd texted an hour earlier. "Stuck in traffic again, heading over soon." Soon. That word had lost all meaning. I returned to the waiting room, coffee gone cold in my hand. The anger that had been simmering now felt like it had its own heartbeat. Every time I replayed that yacht photo in my mind, Ryan's arm around Brooke, the champagne, the laughter, it fueled something sharper. I pulled out my phone again, this time with purpose. I opened his social media profiles, scrolling deeper than before. Old posts, tagged locations, stories archived but still visible to friends. There it was, a pattern, weekend getaways that lined up suspiciously with times Emily had mentioned him being out of town for work. A dinner photo from 3 months back, Ryan and Brooke at a rooftop bar, her hand on his arm, captioned by her, "Best team building ever, wink." His like on it. A beach selfie from last summer, both in sunglasses, her caption, "Paradise with my favorite person." No tag for Ryan, but the angle made it obvious who was behind the camera. My fingers flew, screenshot after screenshot, building the folder larger. Each one felt like another brick in a wall I was constructing, not to trap him yet, but to make sure when the time came, there was no escape. While Emily was in surgery, I sat with my sister Carla, who had driven in from 2 hours away. She noticed my tension immediately. "You okay, Vic? You look like you're about to snap." I hesitated, then showed her the yacht photo. Her eyes widened. While Emily was, "Oh my God." She scrolled through the others I showed her, face hardening. "He's been doing this for how long?" I shook my head. Long enough that it wasn't a one-time thing. Carla gripped my arm. "What are you gonna do?" I stared at the floor. "I don't know yet, but I'm not letting him walk away clean." She nodded slowly. Good. Emily deserves better than this. Surgery lasted 5 hours. When the doctor finally came out, scrubs still on, he gave the thumbs up. She did great. Bleeding controlled, lung repaired. She's in recovery now, but stable. It'll be a long road. Rehab, pain management, but she's a fighter. Relief flooded me so hard my knees buckled. I hugged Carla, tears streaming. For a moment, the betrayal faded under pure gratitude. Emily was alive. That was everything. But as soon as I saw her in post-op, groggy from anesthesia, the anger crept back. Ryan arrived 40 minutes later, flowers in hand again, different ones like the first bouquet had wilted too fast. He leaned over the bed, kissed her forehead. Hey, beautiful, you scared me. Emily managed a weak smile. You're here. He nodded, glancing at me briefly. Of course. I stood at the foot of the bed, arms crossed, watching the performance. His phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out, read the message, typed quickly, then slipped it back. I caught the name on the notification banner before it vanished. Brooke. My jaw clenched so hard it ached. That evening, after visiting hours, I stayed late. Emily slept heavily under the pain meds. Ryan had left to grab food, promising to return. I used the quiet to dig deeper. I remembered the old joint bank account from when they first married. Ryan had set it up for house stuff, and I'd never been removed as a viewer. I logged in on my phone. Transactions jumped out. Hotel charges in coastal towns, restaurant bills for two, a jewelry purchase last month, $1,800 at a boutique, labeled gift. Not for Emily. She'd never mentioned new jewelry. Then came the yacht rental charge, $4,200, split somehow, but dated the day of the crash. My breath came short. He'd used shared funds for his escape with her. The betrayal wasn't just emotional anymore. It was financial, practical, cold. I started thinking about next steps, not rash ones, nothing that could backfire on Emily while she healed, but calculated. I needed proof that couldn't be denied, something solid. I messaged a friend who worked in digital forensics, not for anything illegal, just advice. Hypothetically, I wrote, if someone wanted to track deleted messages or hidden accounts, what's the safe way? She replied quickly, apps, cloud backups, email trails. I noted it all down. The next few days tested every ounce of restraint I had. Ryan visited sporadically, always with excuses, meetings, showings, clients breathing down his neck. Emily bought it, or wanted to. He's trying, Mom. Real estate is stressful. I'd nod, but inside I seethed. One afternoon, he stepped out for a quick call. I followed quietly down the hall, staying out of sight. He paced near the elevators, voice low but clear enough. I know. I'll make it up to you. This hospital thing is dragging, but soon. Love you too. He hung up, exhaled like he'd dodged something. I slipped back to the room before he returned, face neutral. But the words echoed, hospital thing, like Emily's life was an inconvenience. That night, alone again, I cried quietly into my sleeve. The mix of relief that Emily was improving and fury at Ryan's indifference tore me apart. How could he look at her bruised face and still text his mistress? How could he use their money for yacht weekends while she fought infections? The unfairness felt physical, like weight on my chest. But the more I learned, the clearer the path became. I wasn't just angry anymore. I was strategic. I started planning quietly, gathering financial records, saving voicemails he'd left for Emily, full of empty promises, even noting dates he'd claimed to be working late but appeared online elsewhere. Emily noticed my quiet mood one morning. Mom, you seem off. Is it Dad's accident stuff coming back? I forced a smile. Just worried about you, honey. She reached for my hand. Ryan's been great when he's here. I swallowed hard. I know, but I couldn't say more. Not yet. She needed to heal first. The truth would come soon enough, and when it did, it would hit like the crash that started all this. The tension kept building, layer by layer. Every fake smile from Ryan, every buzz of his phone, every new piece of evidence I uncovered, it all pointed to one thing. This couldn't continue. Justice wasn't optional anymore. It was inevitable. Emily's recovery started slowly, painfully. The doctors moved her out of ICU after a week, into a regular room with a window that let in weak afternoon light. Physical therapy began almost immediately, small steps at first, supported by a walker, her face twisted in pain with every movement. I'd stand beside her, encouraging softly. "One more step, Em, you've got this." She'd grit her teeth, sweat beading on her forehead, and push forward. Watching her fight so hard made my chest ache with pride and with fresh anger toward the man who should have been there holding her other arm.
Ryan's visits became more spaced out. Big listing coming up, he'd say, or client emergency. He'd show up for 30 minutes, kiss her cheek, scroll his phone while she talked, then leave with promises of tomorrow. Emily defended him less each time. One afternoon, she looked at me after he left early again. "Mom, does he seem different to you?" Her voice was small, uncertain. I sat on the edge of the bed, choosing my words carefully. "He's stressed, honey. Real estate can be brutal." She nodded, but her eyes searched mine. I could see doubt creeping in. That crack in her trust felt like progress, and like the moment I needed to act. That same evening, I stayed after he left. Emily fell asleep early from the meds. I pulled my laptop from my bag, the one I'd started bringing for work emails, and logged into the old joint account again. More charges had appeared. A weekend spa reservation for two at a resort 2 hours away, dated for the following week. A deposit on a new apartment lease in the city, solo name, Ryan Caldwell. My pulse quickened. He was planning an exit, not just cheating, preparing to leave her while she healed. The betrayal sharpened into something razor clear. This wasn't a fling anymore. This was abandonment in slow motion. I closed the laptop and stared at the ceiling tiles, counting the dots until my breathing steadied. Then I started making a list on my phone's notes app. Not emotional ranting, practical steps. 1. Secure financial proof. Print statements, highlight suspicious charges. 2. Document communications. Save texts he'd sent Emily, full of "I love you" while he texted Brooke. Record dates he claimed to be working but was elsewhere. 3. Gather third-party evidence. More screenshots from mutual friends' posts, any public check-ins. 4. Protect Emily. Talk to her lawyer friend about options if divorce became necessary. 5. Decide the move. Not confrontation yet, something that would expose him publicly, professionally, irreversibly. I researched quietly that night. Ryan's real estate license was through a large brokerage firm. Reputation mattered in that world. Affairs with coworkers were frowned upon, especially if they involved shared clients or funds. I found the firm's ethics policy online. Any personal relationships that could create conflicts of interest must be disclosed. Brooke was junior to him. He'd been her mentor on several deals. If I could prove the affair overlapped with work, it might trigger an internal investigation. The next morning, Emily had a good day. First time sitting up in a chair for more than an hour. Ryan arrived late, flowers again. Third bouquet, same cheap ones. He chatted about a huge commission coming in. Emily smiled weakly. "That's great, babe." I excused myself to the hallway, pretending to take a call. Instead, I walked to the end of the corridor and called Carla. "I need your help," I said quietly. "Can you come sit with Emily for a few hours tomorrow? I have something to do." She didn't ask questions. "I'll be there at 9. The following day, I dressed plainly. Jeans, sweater, hair pulled back, and drove to Ryan's brokerage office downtown. I didn't go in guns blazing. I parked across the street, waited until I saw Brooke arrive. Blonde hair, confident stride, same woman from the yacht photos. She entered the building. 10 minutes later, Ryan pulled up in his car. I watched them through the lobby glass. Quick hug in the elevator bank, her hand lingering on his back. Not professional. Not subtle. I took photos from my car, blurry but clear enough. Timestamps, license plates, faces. Then I drove home, heart pounding but steady. At the kitchen table, I organized everything into a timeline. Crash date, yacht party, hospital absences, spa booking, apartment lease. I added the photos, bank statements, overheard call snippets I'd noted word for word. It looked damning, solid.
But I needed one more piece, direct proof of the affair. I remembered Emily mentioning Ryan's work phone had cloud backup linked to their home computer years ago. He'd never changed the password. I logged in remotely for my laptop. Messages synced. There they were. Texts to Brooke going back 8 months. Miss you already. Hospital is boring AF. Can't wait to get out of here. You free next weekend? Love the pics from the yacht. You're stunning. Her replies? Hearts, hurry back to me, explicit photos I didn't linger on. I downloaded the thread, over 200 messages, dated, time-stamped. My hands shook as I saved them to an encrypted drive. This wasn't just cheating. This was documented neglect during her life-threatening crisis, enough to ruin him professionally if the firm saw it, enough to make any divorce court side with Emily on assets, alimony, everything. That night, back at the hospital, Emily was in better spirits. "Mom, I think I can go home soon." I hugged her carefully. "That's wonderful." Ryan showed up briefly, said he had a late showing, left. Emily watched him go, expression unreadable. After he was gone, she turned to me. "Mom, I don't feel like he's really here, even when he's in the room." Tears welled in her eyes. I sat beside her, took her hand. "I know, honey, I know." I didn't tell her everything yet. She needed strength first. But in that moment, seeing her doubt turn to quiet hurt, the last piece clicked. The plan was ready. I would expose him, not in rage, but in truth. Let his own actions destroy what he'd built. Let the firm, the courts, the world see who he really was, while Emily rebuilt her life. The breaking point had arrived. Not for me, for him. And I was about to pull the trigger. The plan crystallized over the next few days while Emily continued her slow climb toward discharge. She was walking short distances with a cane now, eating solid food, even cracking small jokes with the nurses. The physical wounds were healing, but I could see the emotional ones deepening every time Ryan breezed in and out. He'd sit for 15 minutes, check his watch, mention some vague closing he had to rush to, then vanish. Emily stopped making excuses for him. Instead, she'd stare at the door after he left, quiet, eyes distant. One evening, she said softly, "Mom, I think something's wrong, really wrong." I held her hand. "We'll figure it out together, Em. I promise." That was the moment I knew it was time. No more waiting.
I started with the quiet moves, the ones that couldn't be traced back to anger or impulse. First, I contacted Emily's old college friend who practiced family law in the city. I met her for coffee outside the hospital, showed her the timeline, the bank records, the text screenshots, the apartment lease in Ryan's name only. She scanned everything, eyebrows rising. This is textbook abandonment during a medical crisis, plus misuse of marital funds. If you filed, she's got strong grounds for a fault-based divorce, adultery, financial misconduct. We can freeze joint accounts, request temporary support, protect her assets. She advised starting with a private investigator for more concrete proof if needed, but I already had plenty. "I want it clean," I told her. "No drama that hurts Emily further." She nodded. "We'll keep it professional. Let the facts do the talking." Next, I reached out anonymously to the brokerage firm's HR ethics line. I used a burner email account I set up at the library computer. Nothing traceable. I attached a zipped folder. Redacted screenshots of the affair texts, dates overlapping with work hours and client deals, bank charges for the yacht and spa paid partly from the joint account, photos of Ryan and Brooke together during business hours. I wrote a short, factual cover message. Concerned observer reporting potential violation of company policy on conflicts of interest and inappropriate workplace relationships. Ryan Caldwell, agent, and Brooke Ellis, junior associate, appear to be in a personal relationship that began while mentoring on shared listings. Evidence suggests overlap with work time and resources. Please investigate discreetly. I hit send at 2 a.m. from the hospital parking lot, heart hammering. No rage in the words, just cold facts. Then I waited. 3 days later, the first domino fell. Ryan arrived at the hospital looking rattled, tie loose, eyes bloodshot. He barely greeted Emily before pulling me into the hallway.
Victoria, we need to talk. His voice was low, urgent. The firm called me in today, HR. They're asking questions about personal matters. He ran a hand through his hair. They mentioned emails, photos, said someone reported a complaint. I kept my face blank. What kind of complaint? He swallowed. About Brooke and me. They're putting me on administrative leave pending review. If it's bad, they could revoke my license. His eyes searched mine, almost pleading. You wouldn't know anything about this, would you? I met his gaze steadily. Why would I? He exhaled sharply, turned away. This is a nightmare. I need to fix it. He would back inside, sat with Emily for 10 minutes, then left early again, said he had to handle something. Emily watched him go, then looked at me. He seemed scared. I squeezed her shoulder. Maybe he has reason to be.
The next blow came faster than I expected. The following morning, Brooke called Emily's phone, number blocked, but Emily recognized the voice when she answered on speaker by accident. Brooke's tone was panicked. Emily? Listen, I don't know what you think is going on, but Ryan and we're just friends, colleagues. Someone's trying to ruin him. Don't believe whatever you've heard. Emily's face went pale. She ended the call without a word, handed me the phone. That was her, the woman from the photos. Tears filled her eyes. Mom, how long? I sat beside her, finally letting some truth out. A while, longer than you deserved. She cried then, quiet, broken sobs. I held her until she calmed. He's been lying to both of us, she whispered. I want him gone. That was all I needed. I called the lawyer that afternoon. File it. Petition for divorce on grounds of adultery and abandonment. Request emergency freeze on joint accounts and temporary exclusive use of the marital home for Emily during recovery. Papers were drafted within 48 hours. I had Ryan served at his temporary apartment, the one he'd leased with Brooke in mind. The process server handed him the envelope while he was unloading groceries. I wasn't there, but Carla drove by afterward and saw him standing frozen on the sidewalk, papers in hand, face ashen. The climax unfolded over the next week. The firm's investigation moved quickly. Internal emails, witness statements from coworkers who'd seen them together too often. Ryan was suspended indefinitely. His big deals stalled. Clients pulled out when word leaks. Brooke resigned before she could be fired. The divorce filing hit public record. Adultery cited explicitly. Financial misconduct detailed. Mutual friends started distancing themselves. Ryan tried calling Emily once, voicemail rambling, "This is a misunderstanding. I love you. We can fix this." She deleted it without listening fully. I visited Emily every day, watching her grow stronger physically while the emotional weight lifted slightly with each truth revealed. She cried, raged quietly, then began planning. Therapy, moving back in with me temporarily, rebuilding her credit separate from his. I feel stupid, she said one night. I shook my head. You trusted someone who pretended to be trustworthy. That's not stupid, that's human. She hugged me tight. Thank you for seeing what I couldn't. Ryan's final attempt came a week later. He showed up at the hospital discharge day. Emily was being released home with me. He waited in the lobby, looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. Emily, please, just talk to me. She stopped, cane in hand, looked him straight in the eye. You made your choice the day of my crash. You chose a yacht over me fighting for my life. There's nothing left to say. She turned away. He reached out, but I stepped between them. Leave, now. He backed off, defeated, and walked out without another word. As we drove home, Emily in the passenger seat, window cracked, breathing fresh air for the first time in weeks, I felt the pressure in my chest finally ease. Not triumph, exactly. Relief. Justice hadn't been loud or violent. It had been precise, patient, and complete. Ryan lost his job, his reputation, his marriage, his future comfort, all because he couldn't be bothered to show up when it mattered most. The weeks after Emily's discharge felt like stepping out of a storm into tentative calm. We settled her into my guest room at home, close enough for me to help with meals, meds, and therapy sessions, but with space for her to process everything. The house was quiet at first, filled with the soft sounds of recovery.
the hum of the microwave heating soup, the click of her cane on hardwood floors, and the occasional laugh from an old sitcom we watched together. Ryan's absence loomed large, but not in a painful way anymore. It felt like relief, like shedding a heavy coat that had been dragging us both down. The fallout hit Ryan hard and fast. Without his job, the commissions dried up. His brokerage firm didn't just suspend him, they terminated his contract after the investigation confirmed the affair breached their ethics code. Word spread quickly in the small world of real estate. Clients he'd poached from other agents backed out. Listings vanished from his portfolio. I heard through mutual contacts that he was scrambling for freelance gigs, but his reputation was tarnished. Brooke faded from the picture too. She moved to another city, started at a smaller firm, but the scandal clung to her resume. Ryan tried reaching out once more via email to Emily. "We can work this out. I made mistakes, but I still care." She read it aloud to me, then deleted it. "He cares about himself," she said flatly. "That's all." The divorce proceedings moved steadily. With the lawyer's guidance, we secured a temporary order freezing the joint accounts and granting Emily full access to the marital home while Ryan stayed in his leased apartment. The evidence we'd compiled, the texts, the financial trails, the yacht charges, made his attempts to contest it feeble. He showed up to the first mediation looking defeated, suit rumpled, no lawyer of his own. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," he admitted across the table. Emily stared him down. "You meant to leave me fighting alone in a hospital bed. That's far enough." The mediator awarded her the bulk of the savings, alimony during her recovery period, and full ownership of their shared car. Ryan walked out with debts from the affair and a fraction of what he'd expected. It wasn't about money for Emily. It was about reclaiming what was hers, piece by piece. As months passed, Emily transformed. Physical therapy built her strength. She ditched the cane after 8 weeks, started short walks around the neighborhood. Emotionally, she dove into counseling, weekly sessions where she unpacked the betrayal, the doubt, the years of overlooked red flags. "I feel lighter," she told me one sunny afternoon over tea on the porch, "like I can breathe again." She reconnected with old friends, took an online course in graphic design, something she'd always loved but put aside for Ryan's practical life plan. I watched her bloom, my heart swelling with quiet pride. We'd cook together in the evenings, sharing stories from her childhood, laughing at memories of her dad. For the first time in years, the house felt full, not of tension, but of hope. Ryan's final chapter came quietly. He sold his car to cover legal fees, moved into a smaller place on the outskirts of town. I ran into him once at the grocery store, basket half empty, eyes averted. He nodded awkwardly. "How's Emily?" I paused, then answered evenly, "Better than ever, without you." He winced, but said nothing. That was the last I saw of him. Last I heard, he was working odd jobs, nothing in real estate. The affair with Brooke fizzled. She blocked him on everything. Karma didn't strike with thunder, it eroded his world steadily, leaving him isolated in the mess he'd made. For me, the resolution brought a deep sense of closure. I hadn't acted out of vengeance alone, it was protection, for Emily, for the life she deserved. Late at night, I'd sit with a cup of chamomile, reflecting on how close we'd come to losing everything. But we hadn't. We'd emerged stronger, bonded tighter. Emily moved out after 6 months into a cozy apartment of her own, but we talked daily. "Thanks for being my rock, Mom," she said during one visit. I hugged her. "You were always mine." Life teaches hard lessons sometimes. This one, betrayal cuts deepest when it comes during someone's darkest hour. But standing by, truly standing by, can turn pain into power. Ryan learned that actions have consequences, that selfishness leaves you alone in the end. Emily and I learned resilience, the value of truth, and that family isn't just blood, it's the ones who show up when it counts. If you've ever faced betrayal and wondered if justice exists, remember, it does. Sometimes you just have to shine a light on the shadows to make it happen. What's the most satisfying act of justice you've seen or been part of? Drop it in the comments below. Like this video if it hit home, subscribe for more stories of betrayal turned to triumph, and share with someone who needs to hear that karma always circles back. Thanks for watching.